$20 for non-members and $10 for members. We'll see you January 13th.
When the temperatures are chilly, being together warms the soul. Keep the winter fun going. Help protect yourself and those around you by keeping your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com. Catch some exciting games of basketball from high schools all over at the Laker MLK Classic. Cheer on your students and their competitors as they honor the freedoms and rights Dr. King fought to protect. Bring a friend, your family, or an acquaintance and get a good seat before 11 a.m. Monday, January 16th at West Bloomfield High School. The Lakers MLK Classic.
You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top story comes from Frank Witzel at the Detroit Free Press, an update on the impending storm that we mentioned earlier on this week on the program. Forecasts are now showing an estimate of about 1 inch of snow in the Metro Detroit area, with additional snow accumulation in the Thumb area of the Lower Peninsula. There's also a chance of rain in addition to the projected snowfall. Again, all of this is dependent on the change in temperature locally as the storm approaches today and into tomorrow. The weekend calls for much drier conditions with temperatures in the 20s and 30s on Saturday, a bit more normal. Following that on Sunday with warmer temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, all of which will be with very minimal, if any, precipitation whatsoever. So that snow that may be coming in between today and tomorrow might not last for very long. Also making headlines on our local news page on CivicCenterTV.com from the Detroit News' Hannah McKay and Mark Hicks. Richmond Community Schools are once again closed on Thursday, following a third threat targeting the district in just this month. Just before 7 p.m. on Wednesday, Richmond High School's principal's office received a message from the state's OK to Say anonymous tip program, reading that a student would go there with a, quote, gun and is not afraid to use it, and closed quote. Police were swiftly notified of the threat and officers were sent to the home of the alleged student in order to investigate any potential threats. The district later sent out to the families, quote, therefore school will be closed on Thursday, January 12th, 2023, while police investigate this threat, and closed quote. In a statement, Richmond Superintendent Brian Walmsley said, quote, we need to support each other as these past few days have been frightening for students, parents, and staff. Please take time to review with your children the dangers of threatening harm to individuals or spreading misinformation on social media and the potential consequences. The safety of your children and our staff are my highest priority, and closed quote. Walmsley also encouraged families to contact Care of Southeastern Michigan for free counseling services as needed throughout the situation and beyond. Again, this is the third threat that's been made to Richmond Community Schools, their staff, or their schools proper just this month, with the first being an anti-Semitic threatening letter left for the Richmond Middle School's new dean on January 3rd, closing the schools through the 9th. And the second threat then being an email sent to a staffer threatening them harm on Friday of last week had they not quit their job. Finally making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from MLive's John Tunison, following the onset of a lawsuit from an art collector alleging that an 1888 painting known as, quote, the novel reader, and closed quote, purchased in 2017, has been missing since it was transferred to a third party after its $3.7 million purchase. A judge has ruled that the Detroit Institute of Arts, which currently holds the painting, is not to move the artwork from its current location in the DIA's Van Gogh in America exhibition. The lawsuit does not blame the DIA for the missing painting, alleging any wrongdoing by the Detroit Institute of Arts, but rather aims to simply just reclaim the alleged owner's rightful possession of the now worth $5 million painting. The lawsuit was filed with urgency just a couple of days ago on January 10th, with representatives, lawyers for Brokerage, pleading to the judge, quote, immediate action is urgently needed, and close quote. The DIA's Van Gogh in America exhibition ends on January 22nd, 2023. When the exhibition ends, the painting will be moved from the DIA's possession and will no longer be accessible to the plaintiff, and that's where this quote ends. The judge, the Honorable U.S. District Court Judge George Stee, concurred, stating that the DIA must keep the painting right where it's at, barring the museum from quote, damaging, destroying, concealing, disposing, moving, or using as to substantially impair its value, and closed quote. Very interesting story happening out of the DIA with an art collector alleging basically that what happened in this situation was they purchased this work of art for $3.7 million in 2017. It was transferred to a third party to help change the possession of the work of art from its previous owner to who should be the current owner. And at some point it was lost in that translation, or maybe some nefarious act had undergone, and eventually ended up at the Detroit Institute of Arts, where it currently is seated for now in this Van Gogh expedition that ends in just a few days here in southeastern Michigan. And they're afraid that if that exhibition ends and it goes back out to another third party, they might not see their painting again, which they never received after their purchase in 2017, and also is now worth significantly more than it was when they purchased it. They purchased it, of course, for $3.7 million, and now the painting worth about $5 million at this time. All those headlines are on our website, CivicCenterTV.com, on our local news page, along with links to COVID-19 updates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Thursday edition of the Megacast, our final show of this week for this go around. Due to other productions, tomorrow morning we'll be in Commerce Township, for the installation of board officer ceremony for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. That will be live on Civic Center TV on our flagship on Friday morning, in place of both the Splash Live, which precedes us on our flagship on Civic Center TV, as well as this Megacast program. Then on Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is also going to be a day where we're not going to be on the air, so no Megacast on Monday, but we have a great replacement for that, as we'll be at West Bloomfield High School with a number of other girls basketball teams, including West Bloomfield, all day on Monday, beginning with the first tip-off at 11 a.m. at the Laker MLK Classic at West Bloomfield High School. Some of the best girls basketball teams across our local area will be going up against each other head-to-head games beginning at 11 o'clock, and the final tip-off between the West Bloomfield Lakers and Cass Tech Technicians will be at 7:20 p.m. So basketball all day on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day right here on our co-flagship My Michigan TV. So plenty of other programming coming your way in the coming days, and then we'll return with regular shows on Tuesday next week. Coming up next on the Megacast, we'll talk about the mental health benefits of having a quote-unquote dry January with Carrie Krawiec from the Birmingham Maple Clinic. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
There are many different kinds of noses. Our noses can sniff out all kinds of things. Good things and bad things. Your nose knows if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu. Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
It's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand as well. All of that on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now on the program for our weekly mental health discussion is Carrie Krawiec, a therapist at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. Carrie, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, as always, for having me.
Glad to have you on. Last time we had you on, you were talking about with us about New Year's resolutions and some of the various ways that we lead ourselves into those, and ways that we make them maybe not so effective, and ways that we can make them more effective. And one of the things that many people do engage in at least in the month of January, as part of a New Year's resolution, so to speak, maybe one of those smaller resolutions, is to refrain from consuming alcohol during the month of January, and something that's known as dry January. And while it can have several different health benefits for your physical health by not consuming alcohol, and maybe can help with some other goals you may have set for the year, it can also have a number of mental health benefits. Can go into a little bit of how refraining from alcohol for a month or for a certain period of time, whatever it is, can actually be beneficial to your mental health.
Well, dry January becoming a thing is actually itself so helpful. Like we talked last week about New Year's resolutions, having a social norm for something where other people can kind of engage as a community around something really helps for success. So even the phrase dry January helps give us all permission, so that if you were out somewhere and said, look, I'm not drinking this month, nobody might pester you or encourage you or push you. You say, hey, it's dry January, and it's a little bit more accepted, which is certainly a positive thing.
And as we get to a point where this is more normalized and does have a name to it, and more people are gathering onto that, how can that also help to relieve some of the worries or some of the barriers that may have been there previously to somebody maybe wanting to take a month off from alcohol, or reduce their alcohol consumption as one of their goals, especially given that alcohol so often in our society is part of social interactions, especially for those adults that are legal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's such a helpful thing too. There are people, this other topic has come up called sober curious or gray area drinking. So these are people that are drinking more than they would like, but perhaps less than puts them in what would be considered like an alcohol abuse disorder or alcohol addiction. So they're in this middle space where they don't really like the amount they're drinking and they're curious about stopping. These are the people that are the best helped by taking a dry January. Alcohol abuse and alcohol addiction really needs to be treated by medical professionals. It may require detox. It may require special drugs that help limit the use. But for gray area drinking and dry January really helps people to explore their use, to gain some mastery over quitting, to gain some confidence in themselves, that when you try to quit but you don't, you're really putting yourself in another category, that category of addiction. But if you can quit for a period of time, it helps to improve sleep. It helps to reduce anxiety and depression. It helps to just feel overall healthy, maybe lose weight, certainly save money. There's a lot of positive effects. And when you feel that control, it also can change your brain chemistry. So what they find is that people who even take just 1 month off of drinking feel healthier and have healthier habits across their health, even 4 months later, 6 months later into the summer. They've just exercised their own discipline and self-control in ways that helps them all year long.
And Carrie, we know that alcoholism and alcohol dependence or issues with alcohol, they are their own individual health issue, their own individual mental health issue. But for those that may have other mental health issues and mental health situations that they're dealing with, alcohol can have maybe a negative effect on those as well. So talk about how that can also play into how dry January can affect those that maybe have some other mental health concerns that maybe they don't believe or they don't recognize alcohol is contributing to in some negative way. How can that help them?
Sure. So like I said before, so alcohol use is connected to 60 different health and physical health and mental health disorders: cancer, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension. So anybody who cares about their health is going to have anxiety knowing that they're doing something in direct contrast with their health and wellness. But certainly it's going to impact, like I said, sleep issues, weight issues, other things that are going to contribute to someone's self-esteem and insecurity, as well as just actually chemically contributing to anxiety and depression. So taking a month off helps to reset brain chemicals, helps to boost confidence, helps to improve overall health and wellness, improve sleep, improved eating, improved choices in a variety of life areas that are going to help reduce the incidence of co-occurring mental health issues.
We're joined by Carrie Krawiec on today's edition of the Megacast for a weekly mental health discussion from the Birmingham Maple Clinic. More information can be found on their website, and get in contact with the professionals at the Birmingham Maple Clinic, birminghammaple.com for all of that, birminghammaple.com. And Carrie, just to circle back to this category of gray area drinking. So, it doesn't seem as severe when you define it as being someone who's drinking maybe more than they would like to, but it's not causing them problems because we're putting into that definition. It's not causing them problems at the moment, but that can lead to some problems down the line, I would presume, as you maybe dive more and more into consuming more alcohol. Your dependence is going to change, and then all of a sudden you could have yourself in an issue with your alcohol consumption. So just how dangerous can that gray area drinking ultimately become for someone that maybe is diving into that sort of category?
Well, absolutely. I think you bring up an interesting point. Why isn't it causing problems, right? So like if we think, and what are problems, right? So someone may say, "Oh, I'm fine. I've never had a DUI, or I've never missed a day of work." And then socially we say, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, then that really isn't a bad thing." But if your family's commenting on it, or perhaps you've had some blackout nights, then maybe those are problems, but you don't call them problems. Are you being secretive? Maybe people don't know. So it would be a problem if they did know, because they'd be drawing attention to it or confronting you in some way. So you're right, the gray area gets really gray, right? How are we defining what problems are? And how are we addressing those problems and the underlying problems that might be causing it? Also, like you said, some other problems don't emerge till over time. Fatty liver, cirrhosis, it might not happen today or tomorrow or the next day, but you could have a heart attack in your 50s, and that would be really concerning, and it could be connected to this use at a younger age or stage.
And so as we're connecting all this back to dry January, and we talk about the various physical and mental health benefits to taking a month away from alcohol, or significantly reducing your consumption of alcohol during the month of January or anywhere else during the year as part of some sort of a New Year's resolution, how can people best take advantage of that to address their relationship with alcohol, whether it be social, whether it be something that's maybe a little bit detrimental to their life, or significantly detrimental to their life in the way that they didn't realize? How can they kind of take that inventory while dry January continues to go on, while they're participating, and really turn this into something that benefits them outside of just the month of January?
Well, I think it could and should raise a lot of questions for people and ones they should be willing and want to answer, especially if they're using it the best. If you try to stop and you have a hard time, or it's a couple days and you're already slipping up, like we talked about, the day that resolutions get thrown away, which would be tomorrow. So, if you've tried and you've already slipped up, ask yourself why. What impulses, what drives, what social factors, what other things maybe contributed to that, and try again. And then if it happens again, ask yourself again, or ask yourself, is there something about the situation that needs more than just my own willingness to adopt this, right? And then if that's the case, seeking therapy, seeking treatment. When it comes to alcohol use disorders, there's such a broad range. There are AA groups and things that are free and convenient, at least to get started. There is, of course, detox and longer term treatment. So it's not just a one size fits all method, but there are ways to start, even just dabbling with, I've tried and I've not been successful. So, like, what else do I need to try? What other deeper layers do I need to explore to support me as I'm exploring my alcohol use?
And so what sort of questions or what sort of checkpoints should people be really keeping note of mentally or actually physically taking note of as they're exploring their relationship with alcohol during dry January, to be able to take that sort of mental health inquiry and overall health inquiry about how alcohol impacts their daily life?
Sure. I mean, evaluating how much you spend time, thinking about drinking or acquiring alcohol, or, do you plan your events around whether alcohol will be present or not? Do you feel deeply uncomfortable when it's not? And like those would certainly be questions to be asking yourself. Do you what is the messages in the community around you, your family of origin or the family you're in? What kind of drinking is acceptable and not acceptable? Are there histories of alcohol use disorders, which would certainly be a predisposing factor to having one? So, what things have I seen in my history? What things do I see in my present that are cause for pause?
We're joined by Carrie Krawiec from the Birmingham Maple Clinic on today's edition of the Megacast. You can get in contact with them at birminghammaple.com. That is birminghammaple.com, or call them 248-646-6659 for more information, as well as consultations. 248-646-6659 for more information. Carrie, a couple more minutes with you today. Anything else that we should be focusing on as we're addressing this issue of people's relationship with alcohol and how that relates to their mental health, or dry January, or any other mental health issues or mental health points that we should be keeping of mind at this time?
Sure. So alcohol use, is very cyclical, and it comes with associated feelings. So of course there's the positive euphoric feelings you feel when you're a little bit intoxicated, but then afterwards there's a hangover, and that's the same emotionally, right? So the physiological symptoms, the emotional symptoms, there might be guilt, anxiety, shame, and those painful feelings can actually contribute to increased use because you're feeling poorly about yourself, but you already know there's something that could make you feel better. So identifying some other things that would make you feel better. Is it talking or connecting with other people? Is it adding something new to your fitness? Is it adding a new routine or a new activity? Trying to add some, I call them speed bumps, but some places where you would normally drink, what are some things that you could throw in to interfere, that would perhaps keep you from that environment or that situation, to see if you can sort of prolong those times, gain some confidence in yourself, and some enthusiasm about some other things that are going to give you that euphoric feeling, that dopamine, that whatever it is that you need to feel a bit uplifted, so that you can replace that cycle of shame, blame, whatever else it is that drives that negative process to keep going.
As always, you can get in contact with Carrie and the other professionals at the Birmingham Maple Clinic for more consultation and discuss these sorts of issues in more depth and on a personal level by going to their website, birminghammaple.com. Send them an email, info@birminghammaple.com, or call them 248-646-6659. Carrie, thanks as always for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
birminghammaple.com, their website, once again, to get in contact with Carrie Krawiec and all the professionals at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll explore one local nonprofit that's providing after-school activities and additional educational materials to kids in the Detroit area. This is coming up next on the Megacast.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including our co-flagship My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview segment on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast, the place to go for all of that. Joining us now on the program is one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform. Kimberly Johnson joins us now from Developing Kids, an organization that provides after-school activities and educational resources and developmental resources to kids all throughout the Detroit area. Kimberly, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. First off, tell us about your organization, a little bit of the history and the mission of what you do each and every day.
All right. Well, I am not only am I the president and CEO, I'm also the founder of the organization, and it is such an honor for me. I used to be a former teacher. I went to school in Ohio, and I wanted to move back to Michigan because I knew the troubles that I was having as a Detroit youth, just to make it to get to college, and then to not just to get to college, but to graduate from college. So I wanted to come back to the city and help other young people. In 2006, I took the vision and brought it to life by incorporating the organization. We got started. We started doing some very small activities in the yard. And I started it because what I saw was a repeat of some things that happened in my childhood. Kids kept knocking on the door and they wanted to play with my children. And I was like, but where are you going to play? So there was no structure, not enough structured programs in the areas. They just used to ride their bike back and forth to the store. And as a child, those are things that I did. But then we had some strong leaders who led us down the wrong path in the neighborhood. And unfortunately, out of 40 young people on my block, only 5 of us graduated from high school. So I didn't want to see that same pattern repeat itself. So started Developing Kids with $750. We served 27 youth, and today we are serving over 1,200 youth. We've been around for almost 17 years, and it is just truly a joy to just see everything come to life.
So what are some of those resources or those programs that Developing Kids provides in the Detroit area that are providing some of these extracurricular activities and these abilities for kids to interact in the way that's bolstering their education and therefore helping them build their future?
Yes. So all of our programs, I want to say, are at no cost to our participants and their families. So year round, we have after school programming that could include health and hygiene, financial literacy, teaching them all sorts of life skills, recreation, field trips to see different plays or maybe able to go to sports games. But we also have an academic enrichment component. Less than 15% of third graders in Detroit are able to read at grade level. So we do a lot around literacy with our K through 5th grade youth. We also support those young people in whether it's math, science, history. We support them because we want them to not just participate and have a good time in developing kids throughout their childhood, but we want to make sure they graduate. And we have had a 100% high school graduation rate. In addition to that, we also have a summer camp that we run for 6 weeks. They are full days from 9 to 5 p.m. in the summer at no cost. We do field trips. We do everything that we do in the after school program. But in addition to that, we do languages. So we teach sign language, Spanish, Mandarin. We are able to go further in depth on those topics because they're with us for a longer period of time. We provide breakfast, lunch, and a snack in the summer. Every day of our after school program, we provide dinner. And I see a real meal of, it may be chicken and mashed potatoes and broccoli, but it is a real meal because we don't know sometimes that that's the only meal that our young people will have in the evening. 88% of our young people are low income who will participate in our programs. 85% live in the city of Detroit. The other 15% are generally on the outskirts of Redford, East Point, Southfield, Northfield, Novi. But we have young people that come to us from all around the city. We also have a workforce development program. This past summer, we provided 181 young people with employment through the city of Detroit. We were a work site for them. Those young people were paid. We also have a workforce development program where we provide training activities throughout the year to make sure young people can not just get a job, but that they can keep a job. So teaching them those transferable skills. We provide college and trade skill programming support to make sure that our young people, when they finish high school, that they actually transition into an entry-level job or maybe a career opportunity or helping them to get into college or into a trade school and not just to get there. We provide coaching and guidance and some financial support to them throughout the time that they're in those programs to make sure that they actually graduate. And then we have family night activities. So these are free opportunities for families to engage in activities with with each other and meet their neighbors also. We have one coming up this week. Today was also our Trader Joe's giveaway. We distribute food that has been donated to us from Trader Joe's every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I know that was a lot, but we do a lot. We're excited about the work that we do.
Yeah, thousands of hours of programming in a given year and hundreds of students that have been impacted over the years that you've been running this organization, Kimberly. Just give us some insight into the results and the outcomes that have come from kids participating in these kinds of programs and having these programs available to them through an organization like yours.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, we've had a 100% high school graduation rate since we started with our first group of high school seniors in 2012. We have had young people where they take a self-assessment and 98% of them will state that they believe that they can graduate from high school more than they did before they started participating in our programs. This past summer, we celebrate every year those that are promoted from 8th grade to high school, those that go on to college and trade schools. This past June, we celebrated 21 high school graduates. We celebrated 3 young people who were promoted from 8th to 9th grade. We celebrated 4 college graduates, 1 trade school graduate, and a law school graduate. Again, when we get these young people into developing kids, many times it's not where they just come for a year, but they come and they remain in the program. Half of my team right now, I have a team of 23. Half of them are former participants of developing kids. So it's where we are providing those skills. We're providing work opportunities for young people to engage in and are just truly appreciative as we build relationships with their families. We have 4 young people who have been awarded global fellowships for the achievements that they've made throughout their K through 12 academic experiences. So it's truly great.
You can find more information on this organization by visiting their website at developingkids.org. That's developingkids.org, their direct website, or go through Share Detroit at sharedetroit.org. Click on the Find a Nonprofit section and search for Developing Kids. You can also learn more about over 300 other charities and nonprofits across the Detroit area on their website as well, sharedetroit.org, the place to go for all that. And Kimberly, these are excellent programs that are clearly having a significant impact on kids in Detroit and in the metro area who are participating in them. So if families would like to get their kids involved, if kids would like to get themselves involved in these kinds of very enriching programs through Developing Kids, how can they go about doing that and get access to these resources?
So they can simply go on our website, developingkids.org. And there is a link at the bottom of the page. And so through that link, they can register for our programs. We still have spots available. If they can't reach us or they're having some trouble, just give us a call at 888-294-6554, extension 6, and someone will assist them in registering for our programs. We have several opportunities for those to volunteer, to get engaged by donating. All of that is through our website and through sharedetroit.org as well. We're very grateful for their support and allowing us to share the work that we do through their site also, because we just purchased a building. So we are looking to serve more youth in the years to come as we will move into our new building at the end of next year.
We're joined by Kimberly Johnson, the founder, president, and CEO of Developing Kingdoms in Different Stages, or Developing Kids, as they're also known. Their organization's website, developingkids.org. Kimberly, just another minute or so with you before we'll have to say goodbye today. Before we let you go, if the community would like to support your mission and the great work you're doing for kids in the Detroit area, what's the best way they can provide your organization support at this time?
Thank you so much for asking that question, Tyler. One, I would say to share the word about what we're doing, Developing Kids, where you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're there on all the social media sites, as well as our website, to see the work in action, because sometimes a picture speaks louder than words. So check us out, follow us, stay engaged with us. There are several volunteer opportunities. Again, you can connect to us through the website. There are ways that you can donate, support our Village campaign, which is a campaign to renovate our building that we purchased in May of this year. Our goal is to get into that space by October of 2023, and we need everyone's support. Every dollar matters, every dollar counts. We will always come out and speak and share about the work that we're doing and how we're moving along in the process to get into that facility. So reaching out to us to volunteer, maybe it's to host a fundraiser, it's just to share about what we are. We want everyone to make sure that Developing Kids is a household name.
Find more information on their website, developingkids.org, or visit them also on sharedetroit.org. Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tyler.
Appreciate having her on, and of course, always appreciate talking to the many different charities and nonprofits supported by Share Detroit, and they're also a great partner with us here on the Megacast. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll talk to one of the many people that are doing excellent work here in our local ISD here in Oakland County. Oakland Schools will be with us for their first of their bi-weekly segments with us, our Oakland Education Insiders, coming up next with Christina Harvey, the health curriculum consultant at Oakland Schools. That's coming up next on the Megacast.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling.
The heart of winter. It beats inside you. It's that thing urging you outside when the forecast calls for snow. Some were born with it. For others, it was carved with care. But for all who take winter to heart, it's time. Feel the rhythm of the season and pursue your Pure in Pure, Michigan.
Do you have a child going into kindergarten this fall? The West Bloomfield School District invites you to learn more about kindergarten at the Kindergarten Roundup. Principals and teachers are sharing their important information, including next steps for registration, kindergarten readiness, district-wide services, and more. Each family will also receive a free gift from the Team WB. We can't wait to meet you at the Kindergarten Roundup, Thursday, January 26th at the new West Bloomfield Middle School.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our programs on demand. Our full episodes, if you'd like to tune in to our full hour-long program each and every day on your own time, or tune back in later on if you're not able to join us for the full show live Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Or if you're just looking for individual segments that are of topics of interest to yourself and to those in your life, you can also find those and watch those individually on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, the place to go for all of that. Joining us now on the program is Christina Harvey, the health curriculum consultant for our first Oakland Schools Education Insider, which will be happening bi-weekly here on the Megacast on Thursdays late in the program with our friends at Oakland Schools. Christina, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. First off, just give us a little bit of background information about your role with Oakland Schools and some of the things that you work on from day to day.
Yeah, so I work to support our districts in providing quality health education for our students. So that looks like consulting with our districts around what it is they're currently offering, how they might be able to make those classes more engaging and relevant, and then also maybe developing resources or training for them. I'm also our school health coordinator for the Michigan School Health Coordinators Association. So I represent our region as one of 24 sites across the state that have expertise in supporting our young people's well-being when it comes to school systems.
And there's a lot that goes on in the background at Oakland Schools to be able to make all these different things happen, to be able to develop these programs, execute these programs, and look into how they are working over the course of time so that they can have the goal effect on the students, but also can be modified to have an even greater effect. So with that, some of the different efforts that are made include something that happened late last year in December, Oakland Schools hosting its K-12 Live Well, Lead Well Summit, focusing on overall well-being of students, staff, and communities. Can you give us an overview of what happened at this event and some of the professional development that was undergone by Oakland Schools staff?
Yeah, so this summit was actually planned by 5 of our educational service agencies in the area. So not just Oakland Schools, but also representing Wayne, Macomb, Genesee, and St. Clair counties. Our superintendents were involved, as well as the other school health coordinators. So job alikes to myself were a part of this. And our goal was to really start the day out with a call to action. What are youth experiencing when it comes to well-being? How can we respond to what it is that's going on with their mental health and their overall well-being? So what programs or practices are shown to work within our schools? And also what kinds of resources or partnerships are available locally to support them in doing that work right now? And then we wanted to give space for those that came to the summit to actually be able to plan. So how do I use this information to move forward my work?
And this was a collaboration, not just within school districts overseen by Oakland Schools or in partnership with Oakland Schools, but others in the nearby area too. I understand from the notes, from my notes, that 5 different counties actually were participating in this summit.
Yeah, we did have 5 different counties. So on the day that everyone came in, we had around 450 people that were participating with us from all 5 of those counties. We had asked for teams of staff from those districts that lead health initiatives to come in for this session. So think of leaders like the superintendents, principals, mental health professionals, school nurses. We had a wide range of individuals from buildings that came. We also brought in leaders not only from our educational service agencies like Oakland Schools, but also the Michigan Department of Education and community partners like our community mental health or school-based health centers from all 5 of those counties as well.
And this is something that has become more of a focus in recent years for not just Oakland Schools, but other ISDs and individual school districts too, is focusing on student mental health. It had been previously because of just a lack of a focus on it, maybe the stigma being greater behind mental health issues, especially for kids, that these things weren't focused on. But another key factor was just schools didn't have the resources available to them in their individual districts or through their ISDs or other avenues to be able to access some of these programs and some of this information to enact these programs. So recently, the legislature and the governor passed a historic budget that puts a lot more of an investment in our students and in our schools. How do you envision that this new budget and kind of that renewed focus in education and education funding may impact the ability for school districts and for ISDs like Oakland Schools to be able to focus and make an impact on students' mental health?
Yeah, I'm really hopeful that it presents an opportunity for our districts to build that solid foundation, to secure the staff that they need, the services and supports that the research shows us are needed for youth to be healthy and to support their well-being, especially when it comes to their mental health. This might look like hiring mental health professionals and school nurses at best practice caseloads for the number of students that we have within a building.
And so following the summit in December, the K-12 Live Well, Lead Well summit that included schools from 5 different counties and certainly had heavy involvement from Oakland Schools. What steps have been taken since then, and maybe even already are in motion, through Oakland Schools to kind of take what was learned on that day from all that collaboration and now put it into action?
Yeah, so the 5 agencies that worked on pulling this together, those school health coordinators have still been meeting in order to better understand, what are districts reaching out to each of us about? How are we individually supporting them? And also, if it's appropriate or helpful for us to do something regionally again, that we're ready to do so quickly. And then at Oakland Schools, what we're getting ready to do is actually launch our Whole Child Collaborative webpage. And we're really hopeful that this collaborative branding will make it easier for our districts to access and find our services that support youth well-being.
And how is Oakland Schools then providing support to these local school districts? Because you can make all these plans and it can provide all these different suggestions for individual school districts, but some of them need additional help from their ISD or just need the guidance to get these programs sort of rolling and tailor them then to their individual student bodies.
Absolutely. So we are fortunate that in the last year, we actually did an inventory of what is it that we at Oakland Schools offer. So right now, we know that we offer around 50 different evidence-based programs and practices that help schools build those quality systems. And with those programs and practices, we reach a variety of ages and grade levels from pre-K all the way up through transition programs. We touch on a variety of health topics, so not just mental health, but also thinking about areas like nutrition, social emotional health as well. And then we also offer those across a scope. So what we often call tiers, which is really about the intensity of the support that we offer. So some of our services are lower intensity, meaning that we offer them to every student within our building. Think like a health education class or the lunchroom where you go to get lunch. Also, some are of higher intensity. So fewer students need more in-depth support in order to be successful. And so we have, supports that go across that range. One specific initiative that I can share some details with you about falls into that category of all of our students would receive it. It's called our Oakland County Here For You project. And that project is really about youth voice and leadership. We go and train teams of high school students to be able to create campaigns in their buildings that increase awareness around mental well-being, decrease stigma around depression, anxiety, and help-seeking behaviors, and then also work to connect their peers to trusted adults and local mental health supports.
We're joined on the program today by Christina Harvey with Oakland Schools, their health curriculum consultant, joining us on today's program to search for Oakland Schools or go through your local school district and their link to Oakland Schools to find more information on various programs and resources available through your local ISD at Oakland Schools as well. And as we're putting these programs into practice, just what sort of impact is either projected or has been found through studies of just how much working with students on their mental health and focusing on student mental health can actually be very beneficial, both in the hallways of the schools, but also in the classroom and ultimately at home for a variety of different students.
Yeah, so we have a lot of research to support that overall healthy students are better learners. We have data that goes back a couple of decades from agencies like the CDC or Centers for Disease Control that really do show us that when our students are engaging in healthier behaviors and less risky behaviors, that their academics improve, they're also more likely to be connected to social support. So having positive relationships with their families, with others in their community, and within their schools.
And these aren't just things, Christina, that need to be focused on and need to be worked on in school or in the classroom with these students. These are things too that both the students and their parents and their families should be focusing on at home. What suggestions does Oakland Schools have, or do these sorts of programs have, directing to the families to also do their part in addressing mental health in their homes and ultimately helping their students all throughout their life?
Yeah, it's really important that we involve all stakeholders. So, schools have a role to play as well as our community agencies and our families. And so we really want to make sure that families and communities are aware what kind of education is happening within the classroom to be able to continue those conversations, build deeper, and reinforce those kind of healthy skill building at home. So I think it's really important for all of our stakeholders to be on the same page in terms of supporting well-being.
You can learn more information about programs through Oakland Schools by visiting their website at oakland.k12.mi.us, oakland.k12.mi.us, or call them 248-209-2000, 248-209-2000 for more information. Going back into the Live Well, Lead Well Summit, you had the privilege of presenting at that summit as well and be able to provide some of this information to different educators and others that are stakeholders in these communities throughout southeastern Michigan. What did you present on? What really was the message that you were providing to the audience on that day?
Yeah, so I think it's important to remember districts or school districts are big systems. There's lots of people, lots of students, and a variety of roles there. So some of the reminders that we gave during that summit that day were that this work takes time. We need to utilize a diverse team. We want to have individuals on those teams making decisions that work directly with students of various ages, that have various needs, and that our roles with interacting with them are also, serving a variety of purposes. So that way we can think of the most collaborative, holistic responses for our students. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page. What is our shared vision or mission that really guides us in terms of the kind of work that we do? Make sure that all of those individuals are, in the same boat, going in the same direction, if you will. And then that we also want to use data to prioritize our decision making. A lot of our districts are already doing work to support well-being of our young people. So what does that look like? And what kinds of complementary programs might we need to bring in to fill in those gaps to better support our students?
Find more information from Oakland Schools about programs and resources available here in Oakland County and beyond by visiting oakland.k12.mi.us, oakland.k12.mi.us for more information. We're joined by Christina Harvey, the health curriculum consultant at Oakland Schools, on today's edition of the Megacast. Christina, just another couple minutes with you today before we'll need to wrap things up and say goodbye. Anything else that we should know about these efforts that are being made by Oakland Schools and its partners to address mental health in the classroom and in our school systems, or anything else we haven't discussed yet today that would be important for our audience to consider?
Yeah, I just really want to reemphasize that this kind of work takes time. This is slow, steady work. It's going to take us years of building this kind of infrastructure and providing this support to our students to really impact their well-being. And again, coming back to what you asked about earlier, all stakeholders need to be involved. So not only all stakeholders within our buildings, but also that community. So our families, community agencies, we really want them all to be a part of this work that we're doing.
And with just another minute left or so, Christina, I just want to follow up on that. As you mentioned this taking time, just what sort of foundation is being built, or what more of that foundation really needs to be developed over that time to make these programs not just exist in our local schools, but be effective in these schools too?
Yeah, I think it really has to do with what we talked about when it came to funding, right? Getting the appropriate staffing in place so that way we can offer these programs and supports in effective ways without overwhelming individuals. And also making sure that we are using that data to make sure that we're coordinating the existing efforts and things that we're adding in place so they support and reinforce each other.
Big topic of interest in our school districts and beyond. Mental health in our daily lives certainly been something that's been brought to the forefront over the past few years and already having immense impact on our students and other areas of our society. Christina, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Oakland.k12.mi.us for more information, or join us bi-weekly on Thursday. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another individual from Oakland Schools for our bi-weekly Oakland Education Insider. That is going to do it for this week's editions of the Megacast. As always, you can find us on demand on our website, civiccentertv.com/Megacast, where you'll also find more information on all of our partnering stations here in Oakland County and across the Great Lakes State. In lieu of our program tomorrow, we'll be live in Commerce Township at the installation of board officers for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. And on Monday, instead of our show, we'll be at West Bloomfield High School for a big day of basketball on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the Laker MLK Day happening at West Bloomfield High School. First tip-off of girls basketball at 11 a.m. with games every couple of hours all the way through to the final tip-off between West Bloomfield and Cass Tech at 7:20 p.m. All of those games on our co-flagship My Michigan TV. See our Megacast page, civiccentertv.com/Megacast for a link to their website. Big thank you to all of our guests on this week's editions of the Megacast, as well as our dedicated crew at the studio of My Michigan TV. Calvin Brown and Jared Clark, our producers on today's edition of the program. That's it for this week's editions of the Megacast. We'll return soon with new episodes.